Discipline without direction is just absence wearing a noble disguise. Every frog in the pond knew Tad's story. The dedication, the sacrifice, the extraordinary, almost inhuman commitment to becoming the greatest jumper the pond had ever seen. They told it to their children at night like a lesson. They pointed at him during training like proof. Look at Tad, not one missed day, not one. What they did not tell their children, what nobody told anybody, was what was happening on the other side of the pond while Tad was jumping. That part of the story was never as clean, never as easy to point at. It started with a promise Tad made to himself at 17. 1 jump per day minimum, rain or drought, sick or healthy. Whatever the world was doing, Tad would be at the stone by dawn, alone, working. Not because someone forced him, not because someone was watching, but because he had decided, with the full burning certainty of a young frog who has just discovered what he is capable of, that greatness was simply a matter of showing up every single day without exception. And for years, it worked. He got better, measurably, visibly, undeniably better. The pond noticed. The elders noticed. Other frogs started arriving at dawn just to watch him train, which only made him train harder. Tad had found the thing, the purpose, the reason to wake before the sun. What he had not yet found, though it was coming, was the cost printed on the back of it. MIRROR came into his life in his 22nd year. Warm, certain, the kind of frog who made every room feel more honest just by being in it. She loved Tad's dedication in the beginning. She called it beautiful, called it inspiring, sat at the bank some mornings and watched him train with the particular pride of someone who believes they are witnessing something rare. They built a life, had a family, 2 small frogs who arrived in the world loud and curious and completely, entirely dependent on the 2 creatures who had chosen to bring them into the pond. Tad did not miss a single day of practice. Not the day his youngest spoke her first word, which happened at mid-morning while Tad was at the stone, jumping. Not the night his oldest had a fever and MIRROR sat alone through the dark hours, because Tad needed sleep to train well at dawn. Not the evening MIRROR sat at the edge of the pond and stared at the water for a long time, long enough that it meant something, and Tad walked past her on the way to his evening stretch and almost stopped and then didn't. He had a routine. The routine could not bend. Nobody tells you this part of the discipline story. They tell you about the champion, the record, the morning the whole pond gathered and watched Tad clear a distance nobody had ever cleared before. The roar that went up. The elder frogs nodding slowly with the deep satisfaction of being proven right about someone. They do not tell you what MIRROR's face looked like in that crowd. Not proud exactly, something more complicated than proud. The expression of a frog who had given something enormous. Years of mornings, years of evenings, years of a partner who was physically present and emotionally somewhere else entirely, and was now watching the thing that had taken all of that finally, publicly, triumphantly arrive, and was trying to decide how she felt about it. The night after the record, when the pond had gone quiet and the celebrations had ended, Tad found MIRROR sitting alone at their stone. He sat beside her. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then she said, not with anger, not with accusation, just with the quiet honesty of someone who had waited a very long time to say something true. I am proud of you. I want you to know that first. Pause. But our children grew up while you were at the stone, and I don't think you know them the way you know your jump. Tad sat with that for a long time. He did not defend himself, did not list the sacrifices he had made, did not explain the discipline or the vision or the promise he had made to himself at 17. Because she was not wrong. She was completely, painfully, precisely right. Here is the question that every driven frog eventually faces. Not whether the goal is worth pursuing, not whether the discipline is real or the sacrifice is noble, but who is paying for it? Because the cost of every great pursuit never stays inside the frog doing the pursuing. It spreads, quietly, without announcement, into the mornings of the people who love you, into the evenings of the children who just wanted you to be there. Not performing, not achieving, just there. Tad became the greatest jumper the pond had ever seen and stood in the middle of that achievement and understood, too late, but not too late for everything, that the stone he had been jumping toward his whole life had been surrounded all along by the people he had been jumping away from. He could not reclaim the mornings, but he showed up for the evenings, every single one, without exception. His name was Tad, and the second promise he made to himself was quieter than the first, but it was the one that actually made him great. Stay with us. The pond has more stories to tell.